Hola, and welcome to the DownShift, hosted by Schwags, Lockie, Huffy, and myself, KT. In this episode, we review the Mexican Grand Prix in what shaped up as an amazing race, only to be ruined by a virtual safety car. But let's not let that get in the way of us looking at Ollie Bearman's best race of the season, a very frustrated George Russell, a change in the Drivers' Championship, which leads to an even hotter downshift prediction battle. All this and more as it's lights out.
The clutch.
Let's get racing.
Hola and welcome to the Downshift as we are reviewing the Mexican Grand Prix that was held at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. I had to think for a second there.
Or just the Mexican Grand Prix,
Or the Mexican Grand Prix in a race which was, again, promising quite a lot to be happening and didn't fail to deliver in the first couple of corners as we had a number of drivers who were struggling to remain on track. And we saw a little bit of action through the races. We had our championship leader, Oscar Piastri, starting off at 7th and having to battle his way forward. And then a couple of battles just near the very end, which unfortunately were halted by a virtual safety car. So what do we think of the race, team?
Yeah, good. I think Max nearly ended up in the car park, didn't he? He went so far wide on that first corner.
Well, I spent most of their time lawn mowing on the first lap and then eventually got himself sorted out.
Oh, to be fair, Max wasn't the only one. Leclerc was out there with him too, wasn't he?
And that was, I think, the start of George's frustrations because I think he didn't do too well out of that first corner. And one of the comments I heard him say was that normally on tracks out wide, there's gravel. And so once you're out there, you're not coming back. But he said, yeah, they're out there. They made it work and kept going.
Well, to be fair, the person who was complaining the least was Ollie Bearman. He was quite happy with that first part and shut up the whole time after that. So.
He was on fire. I mean, seriously, one of the his best race of the season, and I agree with all the viewers. Driver of the day, he was absolutely phenomenal.
Did really well.
It's just a shame he couldn't hold on to the third. That would have been. Yeah,
can you imagine the reaction? I mean, the whole team was crying with happiness, and so was Ollie getting 4th. Can you imagine what it would have been like if he got on the podium? And it would have been Haas's first podium too, I think.
I couldn't believe that. With Haas's 210 race history, they've never had a podium. So to think a rookie with the best result of his career to bring in the first podium for Haas, that would have been absolutely phenomenal.
But it didn't happen.
Correct.
Yeah, but you got to think smallest team in F1, smallest budget, smallest amount of crew and people that they've got, on the track in total. That is still a phenomenal effort.
Yeah.
At this point of the season to get up there in 4th place, and he drove the pants off that car today. So, good luck to him.
And both cars, like, to be honest, at some racetracks, that thing's a bit of a tractor, but they rolled the tractor out at Mexico and it was pretty quick. Like they both had good performance, and it wasn't as if Bearman out-qualified himself and then just started sliding backwards through the race. Like, he held his position and held his own. They did really well.
Well, didn't they bring an upgrade to, was it Coda or the one previously? He bought a floor upgrade, I thought, and that's actually steadied the car and improved it. And that's obviously the result is they got a more stable car that they can actually drive at the moment.
Yeah. It'll be really interesting to see how they go the remaining 4 rounds of the season. There's not long to go.
And I think that's where I look at Ollie. He showed a level of maturity for a rookie where he was calm, consistent, and he was able to get his elbows out when he needed to, which can be difficult.
Yeah, he didn't capitulate anywhere, and he fought hard for his positions and drove like he deserved to be up the front. So that's all he can do. He did a great job.
And to be fair, he had his elbows out, but the only one who really got through was Max. And, at the end of the day, good luck stopping Max if he's on a charge. There's not much you can do.
Yeah, he was flying at the end. He had great pace. Like that stint that he did, I think, was that just about every lap was 1 minute 21. It was just ultra consistent, ultra fast, just unbelievable stint.
Just closing the gap on Charles all the way to the very end until, that safety car saved Charles by the skin of his teeth. Saved Ollie by the skin of his teeth with, look, I don't think Oscar would have taken Ollie, but Max definitely would have taken Charles.
Yeah, I don't know if Oscar would have had the pace at the end, and Norris was miles ahead. Like, he just controlled that race quite easily. Obviously, the McLaren had some pace, but I think Charles
Which
had.
one?
Well, good question.
The one in
number-
front, dude.
the
That
number
was going very well, actually.
We can talk about that. We'll talk about that later.
Has someone got a washing machine going, or
My compressor's on and I forgot to turn it on. Yeah.
he's
might
got
as
that
well,
paint
mate.
shaker going for it now? Now, Christian, obviously you're going to leave this in and
There
not
we
cut
go.
that out.
Oh,
'cause
absolutely.
That is
This is staying in. I mean, this
that.
just continues to show the level of the professionalism of the Downshift
It
podcast.
shows us
Tell you what,
we're a working class production.
they don't
Blue
got no
collar.
paint shakers in the background at my house, mate. I don't know what you know. What
So
Yeah.
if we go from one side of we're talking about a rookie who's showing a level of maturity, we also saw I'm not going to say a veteran, but a seasoned driver who was showing a massive level of frustration in regards to one Mr. George Russell.
I think you could honestly say that he had some frustrations because according to him, he had a car that was coming up behind him and it was covering his whole rear vision mirrors that he couldn't see anything else past it. And apparently, if I remember the radio chat, I've got pace. I should be in front. That might have been mentioned several times as well. That and it wasn't until 5 or 6 laps later that they swapped him over. But by then the damage had been done and
Well, that's
he didn't have any extra pace.
I found it very strange. Like a teammate behind another teammate. I've never heard a teammate say they're quicker than their other teammate and they should be let past. That was amazing.
I've never
It's
heard
like
someone do it so politely, and until he wasn't.
And look, it works if they swap positions and he could drive away into the distance and overtake Bearman, no worries. But he couldn't do it. Kimi kept up with him. I think the draft was too strong. So,
But retrospectively, did they leave him out too long? Like, did they let him hang out there too long to
Yeah.
make it?
They
an
should
effective
have moved.
have done it straight
catch-up?
away.
Yeah.
be a bit more decisive and let Kimi know that if George can't get the move done or whatever, then we'll reverse it back. Yeah.
I mean, the engineers have got all the data. They should have been able to see that as well.
In theory, yeah.
Theoretically.
Well, they were just they were letting them race apparently. But and to be fair, hats off to the work experience guy who was using the dump button to blank George's things out because he had a busy day today as well.
Yeah.
He made it very hard for the broadcasters.
So there was a lot of asterisks as George was talking on the radio.
He was busy watching Yuki's monitor and Liam's monitor, but he wasn't paying attention to George.
Yeah, I wonder when that safety car came out if there weren't a few other drivers letting some expletives go as well.
Well, it was interesting watching Max after the at the presentation there, and they asked him about the safety car, and he said, "Look, at the end of the day, sometimes the safety car works for you, sometimes it doesn't." And he goes, "Look, today," it just wasn't one of those days. So he was almost philosophical in the fact that there was nothing he could have done. He'd right up there, safety car came on.
Which was sort of surprising because, let's face it, that was probably one of the most ridiculous virtual safety car calls that's ever been made. Like, you could not even see Carlos. He basically parked his car in an exit out of the way on one of the slowest parts of the track. Like, the cars are barely doing 120 k's an hour into that corner. What the hell was going on?
Well, I was going to say, did anyone see Carlos's car? I mean, there was no
No.
cutaway to Carlos's car.
You couldn't see it from the onboards of the cars coming up to that penultimate corner. Like, you couldn't even see him, and he's off there to the left. Like, there was just no way a car was going to end up hitting him. It was just
The
a very
commentators were
surprising call.
going, "This is ridiculous. There is no cause of any possible safety hazard from that car. Why have we still got this virtual safety?" And they were all going, "This has ruined the race now." We had 2 potentials between Max and also Piastri. Those 2 battles were doing great for the last 2 laps, and they've said they'd actually just ruined the end of this race now. What could have been an exciting race is now pedestrian.
Yeah, a strange one.
And as we talk about radio commentary and talking about Max, we actually saw where GP accidentally hit the wrong button and was talking to the pit garage he thought he was talking to the pit garage, but he was actually talking to Max. And Max is going, "Hang on, you're
I can
asking
hear
me
everything.
for strategy?"
Are we on a 1-stop or a 2-stop at the moment? Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, because
I thought it was McLaren.
at the time, because normally they're going, "Are we going A? We're going plan A or plan B?" I'm like, "Hang on, they're telling them it's 1 or 2 stops. What's going on?"
Well, he actually said afterwards to the host, he goes, no, he was actually supposed to be talking to Yuki and not me. So they actually hit the wrong button to the wrong driver because I was supposed to be talking about Yuki about his strategy, and it wasn't actually supposed to be a conversation with Max. So Max actually clarified, and he goes, "Yeah, no, it wasn't the wrong button. It was the wrong person that they were actually talking
It still seemed like, if that's the case, it was a very odd thing to be asking a driver. Are we on a 1-stop or a 2-stop? Like,
You're supposed to tell
very
the
odd.
driver that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Weren't you in the meeting beforehand?
unless they conceded all strategy calls to Yuki in the race, like which would be very strange. So,
For Max as
that'd,
well.
That'd be a good call. Yeah.
Well, what could be any worse?
exactly.
But I mean, that's where you're asking the driver for feedback on the car. I mean, obviously the driver's coming back in regards to things that they're sensing and feeling. But ultimately, as we were talking about last week, is that you've got a bunch of strategists both at the track and back at HQ that they're the ones who've got all the data to be able to make the decisions and really just say to the driver, this is the best strategy, this is the way we're going, unless there's something with the car that you're telling us that, completely changes that.
Yeah. Well, they'll ask the driver for feedback, how are the tyres feeling, what's the balance like, but that's just one input into all the data they're getting from tens of engineers that are looking at graphs and tables and analytics about what to do next. So, yeah, strange, very strange.
So I saw the retirements for Hulkenberg and I saw it for Alonso, but what actually happened with Lawson's car?
I think
You
he
don't know why they retired it?
probably had to change his underpants after nearly hitting a track marshal.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I completely missed that. I mean, what the hell happened?
I didn't catch it on the broadcast, so I don't think they covered it on the actual broadcast, or maybe I missed it. But
there was two of them who were running across the track.
Two marshals went to grab some debris off the track in the middle of the race. It wasn't. I don't think it was under a virtual safety car, from what I could see. And maybe thought they had a bit more time than they had, and Liam arrived on the scene and had to slow down through the S's because he would have hit one.
Code Brown.
I think that's why he pulled in. He had to change his DAX.
That's a logical reason to do it too.
You got a fright, that's for sure.
Christian, you mentioned a lot of the first corner with a lot of cars that went off track, but we also saw off-track penalties for Hamilton getting 10 seconds. What do we all think about that?
I think it was warranted because he did not make any attempt to go down the actual tarmac of the runoff there. He went cross-country on the grass and ended up with a big advantage coming back onto the track as well. But the way his team delivered the message to him saying we've got a 10-second penalty for that, they didn't deliver it saying because you didn't follow the escape route down, you went cross-country. They said, because of the incident at the corner, which was not the reason why he got it. He got it because he did not follow the marshal's directions and go down the actual tarmac.
He actually asked early too. He said, "What about all those ones? What about what happened to turn one?"
Turn one,
which was
there was a lot happening.
Max gained a lot of ground on that corner. He shouldn't have, but he kind of just.
They actually said that they give him more leniency in the first lap, especially the first couple of corners for that sort of thing than the rest of the race. Apparently, the control people go, no, they have a bit more lenience because obviously there's all the cars at that first corner, versus later on in the race they go, no, you've actually got to hit track limits and do all that.
Yeah, you tend to find the marshals and the stewards for the start will overlook a lot of what happens in the first couple of corners because, again, it is just carnage. Every car is trying to get to that turn one. So not that they'll turn a blind eye, but a lot of it is considered racing incidents as you're coming into that. And you've got such a chaotic corner at Mexico because you've got essentially a kilometre that you're vying for position before you come into that first and second turn in that or third turn into the chicane. So there's a lot that's going to happen. And I was really surprised at Max. Well, not surprised, but just amazed at Max missing the Armco as he was coming through because you saw the car heading towards it. He's just corrected that nicely.
But like you mentioned at the start, like there's no gravel for runoff. Like they've got plenty of opportunity at that track around some of those corners to add some gravel around there so that it will not be faster if you miss the corner. Like it's ridiculous that there are still tracks where if you miss a corner like that, you can get back onto the track ahead of where you would have been if you would have stayed on the bitumen. Like grass is not supposed to be that grippy, and put some gravel in it a few places as well. I'm sort of surprised they don't have more gravel at the end of that main straight either, because those cars hit 350 k's an hour down there before they have to brake into that turn. So anyone with brake failure or brake issue is going to go sailing past. Like I know they've got some space down there, but you'd think there'd be a bit more gravel to slow cars down anyway.
But is it a requirement to have gravel, or is it?
Don't think so. I think it's on a per circuit basis, but I believe the FIA look at circuit safety for all of the circuits and probably make recommendations as to what should be done so that they're up to the FIA standard for Formula One. So I presume they're happy with how that circuit's structured at the moment and what's put in place. I don't know.
Well, we've seen a lot of changes to the tracks through the season so far where they have actually made alterations to the corners. They've added gravel traps so that they're increasing that safety. So we might see some of those changes come through in the next year or two.
And speaking of corners, like the first couple of corners, I think turns 2 and 3,
Mhm.
cars are really cutting those curbs, and there's some sort of sizable sausage curbs through there. They were smashing over those curbs for the whole race, and I presume not getting too much damage, but I was surprised how hard they were hitting. Not hitting them as hard as V8 supercars were up in the Gold Coast on the weekend. If you saw footage of those, they were airborne over. Fantastic footage, but the Formula One cars were giving it a pretty fair crack as well in a few cases.
How much did they push out the concrete barriers on?
Oh,
Gostecki was just phenomenal. He just gone right into it. And
yeah, if you want to see some good touring car racing, then I'd recommend look at the Gold Coast highlights from the supercars around on the weekend. There's some spectacular footage of cars going through some of these chicanes and over huge curbs. I think they measured the air that these cars are all four wheels in the air. I think about 40 metres Will Brown was measured at travelling in the air before he landed again. Yeah, it was incredible. Great footage.
And great racing when you got, 5 cars and within, half a second on the last lap.
Extremely competitive field. Yeah, it's very good to watch.
Anyway, back to what we're actually here to talk about.
Anyway, we're close competitive Formula One racing. Yeah.
Yeah. When's that coming?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose the other thing to touch on would be at the end, the crowd's response in relation to when they were speaking with the drivers after the race, because it certainly was a completely different reaction when they were talking to Norris versus when they were talking to Verstappen and Leclerc as well, because the crowd was not in favour of Norris at all.
It was a fascinating reaction.
And look, I don't care what sport it is. I don't care who the competitor is. I'm not a fan of booing. But I mean, from this, we actually saw the entire crowd in unison booed Norris as he was going through the post-race interview. So the crowd sentiment, and I don't apportion this to Norris. I actually apportion this to McLaren. And I think this is where it's the treatment that McLaren has done to its two drivers. It's the treatment that McLaren has done to the championship. It's making a farce of the end of the season.
I would probably agree because of the fact that the way it's been portrayed in the media as well has not put the entire team in a positive light.
Yeah, we've spoken about before about the whole Oscar Lando situation, and it's not just us. There's been a lot of press about, it's English bias. And, if you're watching those kind of commentaries on whether it's Sky or anywhere you get your information from, then as a crowd, you're probably going to, buy into that a bit.
All right. Hang on. I'm just going to prepare for this conversation. No.
Hang on.
No.
Are we there? Can we before are we already there?
Happy, yes.
We didn't
even plan this.
Dan.
Rightio.
If we're talking conspiracies, it's tinfoil hat time.
You and I can just sit back and enjoy this. You've got your headpiece there, Locke.
No, I've left it in the other room, unfortunately. So we'll sit back and we'll let the tweakers in front of us jump into it. Go for it.
So while we have tinfoil hats on, we're allowed to talk about conspiracies. We're not saying everything's true because we've got the hat on.
Listeners drop off in droves.
So go ahead, Christian. What are the conspiracies?
Always listening.
We saw Oscar in his post-race interview talking about how he's actually had to change his driving style quite dramatically to be able to fight with the car and didn't realise actually how much he's had to change the way he's driving because, and I quote, my driving style hasn't changed, is that essentially the question is, what has McLaren done to Piastri's car to be able to allow Norris to be so much quicker and Piastri to drop all the way back? So there are conspiracy theories, and we've seen there's a number of memes out there where you've got pictures of Lando's car, which is the MC, and then you've got Oscar's car, which is a tractor.
But spray painted in the McLaren colours. Let's not take it all the way down.
It's a pretty good looking tractor, I've got to say.
Yeah, it was funny to look at, but like you say, Christian, I've seen comments out there from people I know that they're detuning Oscar's car, or that his chassis is cracked or not working properly, or that they're giving better parts to Lando. So yeah, and this has only come about because there genuinely seems to be a surprising difference in performance since that sort of mid-season break. Like It's not something that you would expect to see based on what Oscar was like, competitively before the summer break. Like if we all think back to how he was driving and racing against Lando, he was better. He was the favourite. He was the better racer. He'd out-qualified him. Something seems to have happened. Hence the tinfoil hats and the conspiracy theories.
So, yeah, everything we say here is completely, off
You
the
two look
record.
lovely, by the way. A picture of mental stability. Let's put it that way.
Let's not even get into that. I mean, really. But
anyway.
As we were texting each other through the race as well, I mean, it just doesn't smell right. To Happy's point is that for someone who has been so consistent and performing so well, and it's only the last since the summer, last 3 races where Oscar has just literally fallen off a cliff, which it doesn't make sense. So, it is those conspiracy theories as to whether or not it's biased towards Lando, as to what's being done to Oscar's car. McLaren talking about, free to race.
So I don't have any tinfoil handy,
Hang on,
but
I'll just put
we
that onto
haven't seen Flavio around lately, have we? In the Alpine,
Yep, no, he was on camera.
He was there this weekend.
Was
Yes.
he? He's not being a double agent for McLaren or anything like that.
No, when one of his drivers stuffed up
to sort out their drivers,
threw his hands in the air. So yeah,
okay.
I think what's exacerbated this a little bit is Oscar's statements after quali, I think it was, where he said, I thought I drove a really good lap. That was how I would sort of drive to my maximum ability, but the time just wasn't there. Like he didn't come away going, I made mistakes or it was terrible. He thought he drove well. And when he thought he drove well in the first half of the season, he was probably going to be on pole and leading the race. But yeah.
With Oscar in his practice sessions, you just continually saw him, he'd start maybe midfield, but he would just build and build. He just chipped away at the fine tuning, and then he got his good laps in, and he would be up the pointy end. At worst, he was practice or qualifying third maybe earlier in the season, and
but I mean,
it's not the same.
All season they've been within, half a tenth of each other or something like that, maybe a tenth at the worst. But and they can see each other's setups, data, and everything else. So it's not as if something's being hidden from Oscar. Like he should be able to see exactly what setups Lando's running on their side of the garage, whether he's running the same or slightly different. But all the info's there. So the big question mark is what is this? Why does this gap exist? Like it also looks worse because when Lando gets pole, if you get pole position at a place like Mexico or any track at the moment, you've got clear air, you can control the pace if you've got a fast car. And Oscar is stuck back there in dirty air, battling, wearing his tyres out, overheating the car and the brakes. So he's going to look a lot slower. I don't know what his natural pace would have been like if they had both been in clear air, but Lando definitely looked quicker this weekend and last weekend in every session and quali.
I don't care which way you look at it, but it's where it's not 7 positions. It's not a 7 position difference between the two
it was
cars.
like 5 or 6 tenths or something in quali. Like, I mean, Lando had a belter of a lap, but, normally they'd only be a couple of tenths ahead maybe, best case. So, yeah, quite strange.
And it's hard because with that big a gap, it's hard to hide that in a pit stop too, isn't it?
But yeah, what do they do?
Got 0.8 difference, so they almost did a second for him, so that was helpful.
They can stand around twiddling their thumbs with Lando and they still got him out miles ahead, so... All right, tinfoil hats off. All right.
So with that, we've seen a shift in the Drivers' Championship. So throwing up there for our viewers on YouTube, we can see the result as it stands at the moment where we've actually had a change in the lead. Norris is now 1 point ahead of Piastri, and we now have Max Verstappen, who is 36 points off the lead.
With 4 rounds and 2 sprint races to go. So I think Max has to be in with a genuine shot here. And Lando now, until McLaren tune up Oscar's car to the power levels of Lando's got to be favourite.
No, to be fair, now that you've got Lando in front, they're probably going to get behind and name their number one driver and just back that into the end. Now that there's a clear leader, I think you can see that McLaren will get behind their leader now and they'll fall into line that way. Is that not the way? Are you calling team orders like that?
Wow.
Well, I'm just saying that's the way I'm going to see it. I think that's the way it's going to run. So I could be wrong. Stranger things have happened.
Imagine how heated the Ashes will be this December when Australia plays England in the cricket, if that happened. Oh, my God.
They'll be calling for blood.
This could start a war.
It'll go back to bodyline.
Boy, they better not do that.
That's right. Our bowlers can do that. We're all right.
So as I put the chart up here, look, there was conversation last week, and I can't believe there was still commentary over the weekend about the fact that George Russell is still in the fight. Now, I'm just throwing it up here for and giggles.
Just
But
because
you
you
can
like
actually
graphs.
see, but I mean, I've thrown George onto this, and you can
Whoever
see
said that is wearing their own tinfoil hat. That is just not going to happen. Like, we're not going
As
to
much
happen.
Is that
I'd love
ironic,
to
Dan,
see it
coming from the two
happen.
guys that were just wearing tinfoil hats? Or
I'm going to order a tinfoil hat just to have one in reserve in case I need it next time. Just in case.
I'm going to get
You
a
want to say
propeller
something
one.
stupid? Just put your tinfoil hat on and you're safe.
Oh, hang on, I should wear this all the time then.
I might just chrome the dome. Should be right after that.
But if based on the approach we've been taking so far, and if we extrapolate that out, at this point, we would see Max actually taking the championship by 2 points based on this weekend's result. So very much this is Max's to win and Oscar's and Lando's to lose potentially very easily.
Wouldn't that be a thrilling final race?
Lando's got to be the favourite at the moment. It's still an uphill battle for Max if Lando continues in this form. I think it's Lando's to win, and Max is going to be hopeful that the McLarens take each other out.
I mean, the good news for Oscar is that Lando didn't actually know why he did well.
Yeah, I just closed my eyes according to Lando.
Okay, so other question then. We've got 4 races to go. Based on extrapolating data from previous years, who has had better luck at the remaining 4 tracks and who has had worse luck at it out of those 3?
So Max has been consistently better in regards to those races. So if we have a look at it based on the historical information, and we've got Brazil, Vegas, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi left to go, Max has finished on average at at P 6.2, P3, P1, and P2.4. And as you look at both Lando and Oscar, Lando has been 6.3. So I mean, there's a hair in it between both of them at Brazil. But Vegas, Max has been by far better than both of them. And again, Qatar, far better than both of them. Mind you, Oscar has been better at Qatar than Lando. And then Max has also been better by at least twice than Lando, and probably 3 times that of Oscar in Abu Dhabi.
So Piastri probably needs to go up and convince Hulkenberg to just run up the inside and take Max out. Is that what I'm hearing? Or
Anyone?
Yeah, it was interesting hearing Andrea's comments after the race when he was standing with Oscar and Lando, just doing a little camera piece, and he said they were happy that they've sort of rediscovered the performance in the car over the last round or two, in that they have good pace in it. Now, I don't know whether they've made some changes,
Car,
they've tweaked something.
not cars.
The
plural.
car, not the cars, the car.
The car,
Yeah.
Lando's car. So whatever they've done to that car, it seems to be working quite well. So I get the feeling they walked away from Mexico thinking, right, this is ours. We're back in it. We've still got a great car underneath us. Car. So yeah, they'll be confident going into Lagos.
time will tell.
So maybe an elevation, a device that emulates the elevation for them.
Lack of downforce.
Well, one for Lando's car and leave Oscar's as it is.
So given that, if we then move with the Constructors' Championship, obviously this is locked away for McLaren. That was decided the last race. We're working at the battle for second, and so we've now got the battle between Ferrari and Mercedes, with the great result for Ferrari, even with Hamilton's 10-second penalty, has put them 1 point ahead of Mercedes. And so it is still that battle for the last 4 races between Mercedes and Ferrari as to who's going to take out second place.
Yeah, super close. So that's got to be interesting as well. But my focus will be on Oscar. What can he do?
He can
Was
lose.
that a rhetorical question or an actual question?
If they're putting the better engine in Lando's car, what can he do?
Well, he might have a power unit failure. We don't know. Like, he could get lucky.
I don't
Get
know.
Mark Webber back on the jack.
Let's see what happens.
Dear.
So there is a contest which is probably more hotly debated than the Drivers' Championship in regards to the Formula One, and that is the DownShift.
I'm just going to
Prediction
go get another drink while you talk about that.
I'll go with you, Dan. I'll come.
So we did have Lando Norris, who took out pole position, Lando Norris, who won the race, followed by Charles Leclerc, who was closely followed by Max Verstappen.
Disappointing result all round as far as I'm concerned.
Dan, it gave you and I 2 points each for Charles Leclerc in second place.
That's probably my best result to date, so I'm happy with that.
It's your best result in the last 3-4 rounds, so because you had a hat trick of zeros.
Yeah, hat trick of zeros, yep.
You've broken
Your
the
best-
streak, mate.
Your best round was 4 points. I don't know how you fluked
Oh, was
that
it?
one, but
Oh,
the Magic
okay.
Hat
Yeah.
got 4 points that round.
The hat got 4 points.
Was that the hat, or was that had the hat been introduced
Oh,
at
no,
that
no, I'm sure.
stage?
It couldn't have been me.
That's Saudi
No.
Arabia.
Very early in the seasons, but no. So look, as you can see here, this is now we've got Lando Norris sitting here with the papaya hat on at 41 points. Oscar Piastri at 40 points.
Oh, hold on. So you've thrown
Wow.
Nathan as a Norris follower,
Yeah.
have you?
You better
Wow.
put your tinfoil hat back on, mate.
Jeez,
Yeah.
I tell you what.
I think I need to
talking
put more
like
of my zip oil hat on.
Be
1 point
stacks
in it.
on at the next event we have.
He knows
One
what
point
you
in it.
do.
Point in it.
4 rounds to go, so it's a tight battle.
The pressure is on with Lockie sitting at 36
So
and
does that
Schwags
make
you've moved
me
up to 19.
Does that make me Verstappen coming through from behind there at
Verstappen-esque
36?
Comeback.
Is that,
The comeback.
They call me Yuki. Okay. I'd like to be a Yuki.
So hotly contested. We've only got 4 races to go, so the pressure is on.
I'd have to say, I think earlier in the year it was a lot easier to make predictions, but the last couple of months it's been very, very tough to predict who's going to win. And I think Interlagos will be tough as well. It's a great racetrack, really good to race on. So hopefully we get some good action there. And I don't know who I'm going to pick yet. We'll have to work it out next week.
So, as Happy has said, Interlagos, we've got a weekend off, so only one episode for this week as the teams head below the equator for the race between the lakes at the Brazilian Grand Prix at Interlagos. So, until next week.
Yeah, let's see if Lando's tractor is still faster than Oscar's.
Yeah, the race of the tractors. Yeah, looking forward to some more racing next week.
It's adios from the DownShift team. Join us next week for one of the most anticipated races of the calendar. Until then, we'll see you on the next lap.